Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man Network Transmission. In the last part we took care of the arcade and now it's time for the power plant stage. Lan, this is the power plant. Don't you think it looks suspicious? What looks suspicious? That email. It seems like it might be, well, it has to be a lie. Maybe, but it's not like we have any other clues about the Zero virus. It said it was from a fan of mine. What's so hard to believe about that? That's the hardest part to believe if you ask me. Well, anyway, let's check this place out a little. Looks interesting. This stage can be a little annoying, but it's also one of my favorite stages for a very silly reason that we get to when we get to the second computer. Just make sure you have your elect armor on because, get this, because this is the electric power plant, there's a lot of electric enemies. Here in Computer 1, we're going to be doing a lot of Cyberbar usage, actually. I'd argue probably the most out of most stages in the game, going left to right over bottomless pits. That there is a Fishy 3. Fishy 3s are the rare case of a version 3 of an enemy not actually having a unique chip, they just have dash attack. Which gets into that not every enemy in the game has a unique battle chip. Most do in some form, though, even if it's like, this has a recovery chip and another chip you've already seen before. This has guard, but also one of the later shockwaves and all that jazz. I'd say on average, 95% of the enemies, though, have a unique battle chip, so make sure you take them out for that. In fact, this is actually me checking that out, because I was actively unsure at the time of recording. And proof's in the pudding. There are two notable new main enemies here in the first area of the power plant. One is a Mega Bunny, which is the Bunny 3 virus. They have Zap Ring 3, so if you're a library, you're going to want that. But also notably, Gabioles, the little ground patrolling spike enemies we've seen earlier in the game and are all over the classic series, they get a version 2 here, and they actively do have a new battle chip for us. Admittedly, it's one you can find in a couple of different places, but it is the Iron Body battle chip, which is an upgrade to Stone Body. Now, earlier in the LP, I said I wasn't too aware of what the differences were between Stone Body and its follow-up chips. After doing some research, it seems they just give you one less restriction. Stone Body, you can't attack or be attacked, but you also can't move. Iron Body on, allow you to at least move for 6 seconds while invincible. You can't do much outside of move laterally, but yeah, it's an upgrade, I guess. And that is something I should note. Something I haven't highlighted yet about the battle chips in this game, particularly on the folder screen or in the library, or maybe it's even on the custom screen. They have little icons near the chips to indicate in which states you can actually use the battle chips. So there's some battle chips you can only use while on the ground. There are some you can use while on ladders and on the ground, some while jumping or on ladders. Things like that. And it's a minor thing, but I do appreciate them highlighting that because it can allow you to plan for future scenarios, especially if you're like, I don't like fighting in midair at all, so I'm going to try to focus on ground stuff, even if I can't use it in some cases. But it's also good to know in the case it's a rare case you need to actively do like some ladder combat or all that. If there's something that can be rough for this point in the game, if you don't do a lot of chip grinding or don't do a lot of leveling for your buster, it's doing a lot of effective damage against elemental enemies. Because their wood element is the least common element in the game between the main core 4 elemental chips. There's only, I think, 10 from the research I did about 20 minutes ago in the game, whereas I think there's about 11 water and fire, whereas electricity has like 15 chips to itself, which is nuts increase over the others, which does mean in general like only about a third or so of the library has actual elements. But at the same time, there's so many good neutral element battle chips in this game, it doesn't really matter. And there is our power-up. That means our charge is now maxed out. All I need to do now is for my rapid fire, and that's only for your base buster. And it's already fully charged. The fully leveled up charge gets to be nuts. At this point, for at least base virus fights, you can just completely replace most of your battle chips with just using this. Focus your battle chips on survivability in the stage, element spreading, or especially for boss fights. And now we're heading on to Power Plant 2. And if you're someone with careful eyes, you might notice something about this area's level design. Also, we got a new enemy here, also from Mega Man 1. This is a big guy. You can just charge shot them and they'll die pretty quickly. I think they do a high jump every third or fourth jump by default. They notably have 2 chips they can drop. The Heavy Stomp, which is the same thing that the Flappy gave us back at the bank stage with Quickman. But they can also drop a Recover 150, so not too terrible an idea to grind those out, because I think you should at least have one of the higher recovery chips in your folder in this game just because of how high damage enemies can get, or at least boss fights can get in this one. I would recommend specifically like the 150 tier if you're going to use any of them at all. And if you're a keen eye, even though the camera's much closer, you're probably starting to realize what this level design is outright, and that might be a hint towards the boss fight. And to help that even more, here's more Mega Man 1 enemies. We got blasters here. Notably, these are one of the easiest ways to get the three-way battle chip if you want that for some reason. I don't think it's a very good one. But if you want to max out all the chips, that's where you get that one. Because that's in your folder at the very start of the game, and I make sure I get it out of there ASAP. I'm coming back this way because while you can double jump up this way, you're meant to come down this pathway in order to get some of the items, so I'm just doing that to be appropriate to it. But along the way, we're actually going to have another new enemy. We're going to have the Magnoids, which are the level 3 Magneakers. They are how you get the Mag Bomb 3 battle chip if you're going for library completion. A little tough to get because they're low to the ground, but at this point, a fully charged buster takes so little time, it's not a big problem. Also, right there, we got Sparky 2s. They have the Satellite 2 battle chip. I want to say that battle chip works the same way it does in the mainline games, where the Sparky that you fire out kind of moves up and down from where you fire it. But if it hits like a wall or a platform, it'll then kind of follow it along its perimeter. That's the word I'm looking for. I almost said perpendicular, until it reaches the end. But I've seldom used it because of how this game's combat works in general, I tend to stick with some old favorites rather than experiment a lot with the extra battle chips, because some of them just feel ill-suited for the platformer aspect of the game, which kind of gets into how I don't think this game kind of blends its elements well at all, for the most part. There's ideas here that I think are neat, but I don't think they did the right idea for a lot of them. I'll talk more in specific on one particular thought I think they should have gone with in a later level towards the end of the game, probably. Yeah, be careful of Magnoids, by the way, they hurt. That's Color Man's battle chip. I forget if I've used that on screen or not yet. As you can see, again, as I mentioned, very good. That's Gold Zenny. That's, I believe, 500 Zenny, by the way. Very good for grinding up money. And they're pretty common from this point on in the game. I want to say it's after this set of 2 levels that those start showing up just in normal level design. Also, I'm using double jump there to ignore that section because I just don't like doing that section. The jumps there feel a little weird. Compared to classic Mega Man, jumping from a ladder to another ladder in this feels kind of stiff with how tight the timing is. So I don't like to do it as much as possible. If I can double jump around it, I will. But now we're at the boss fight, so now I'm just going to spend some time trying to get my correct folder going. Because we're coming up on, obviously, an Elect-type boss fight. Bring in wood chips. Needleman in specific is very good for this fight. In fact, it's one of my favorite Navi chips, as I mentioned before, because he has a very good spread that's very good at hitting distant enemies, but also pretty close ones. But also I'm taking this moment to farm out a new program advance for my memo, even though it's actually not that good in this game. This is a returning one for some of the other entries. And we have all the ingredients right here. In particular, you need Punch, Cold Punch, and Dash Attack in that order. This is the Punch program advance. In this game, you use it and you just do several short jabs of punches in front of you that I think will do enough damage even from the first hit to stun boss fights, so you don't get a lot of hits from it. In the mainline games, this is several long distance punches that actively stun, not flinch, so you can get every hit to land on boss fights, especially Battle Hour 2. Here, not so much, not a fan of it, unfortunately, but oh well, there's other program advances that are pretty good, and on top of that, chip damage in this game is just kind of nuts to begin with. Now that I've got some MP, let's head into the boss fight. Like man, what's an X-World 3 Navi doing here? You're here sniffing around the Zero virus, so I'm gonna delete you. What's that you say? So the Zero virus is a World 3 plot after all. Delete. Delete. Wait, Lan, there's something odd about this Navi. What the? Gonna delete you. Delete you with my lightning. He's insane. I think someone hacked him and took control. Dang. Let's talk about this later. Mega Man. Battle routine set. Execute. Electman's another boss fight that's very counterattack focused, and that whenever you hit him, he'll teleport behind you and try to static shock you, essentially, with his pinky finger that he's always got held out. When he's not doing that, he's spawning clouds a la Sheepman and Mega Man 10 to try and strike the ground with lightning. But when he's doing that, he's honestly pretty open for attacks. Navi chips like Needleman are very effective against him, as you can tell. And for beating him, we get a pretty good weapon chip. We get his Elect Beam, which does a pretty similar thing to what it did in Mega Man 1. What the heck am I doing? And why am I damaged? This is too much for me. Jacking out. Electman, wait! It's almost as if he's not aware of us. Yeah, he must have been hacked, but why? It's like Electman was waiting in ambush for us. Lan, Mega Man, can you hear me? I have something urgent to tell you. Dad, what's up? Someone is indiscriminately sending email to Scilab personnel and official net battlers. The same email message. What message? The email provides information about the Zero virus, but when you go to the location specified, a powerful hacked Navi attacks. So Lan, if you receive any suspicious email like this, ignore it. Too late, Dad. You know, this might mean... Yes, it means that the Zero virus and the hacking program were both most likely created by the same person or the same organization. You think it's a net crime organization like World 3? Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't see anything here, so let's check out. You're right. It's time to find another clue. Well, I guess no harm, no foul by the time we got out of that. Darn. Not a single clue. What's wrong? Oh, you know, you haven't been yourself lately. Lan, my processes are so slow. What? What's wrong? Mega Man! Hey! I'm sorry. Hang tough. I'll call Dad. I'm turning the PET's power off for now. To get right to the point, Mega Man is infected with the Zero virus. No! Can we cure him somehow? Well, I administered emergency first aid, so he's okay for now, I think. But until I know what the Zero virus really is, I can't cure him fully. Dang it! The Zero virus, what could it be? The Zero virus will infect you no matter what armor you wear. Once you're infected, getting rid of the virus is very difficult. Apparently, there may be a clue in a place known as the Zero account. Zero account? Yes, Chad said that World 3 is still plotting something, right? So I looked over some old World 3 data again and found... The Zero virus was created by Wily in a cyberworld called the Zero account. Seriously? So World 3's connected with this whole thing after all? No, World 3 canceled development of the Zero virus for some reason. The Zero account was left abandoned for some reason. Great writing there. Zero account, a world discarded by World 3. Do you know where it is? I have no idea as to where it is yet, but I plan to continue our investigation. Ah, okay, I see. Thanks, Dad. Lan? Mega Man, how are you feeling? I had Dad give you some first aid, but... yeah, I feel okay. Great, but you should probably avoid virus busting for a bit. You know, Lan, I've been thinking. Yeah? I get the feeling that if the Zero virus isn't stopped, it'll ruin Cyberworld. I guess you're right. So I think we should do as much as we can. Also, unless we figure out what the Zero virus really is, my processes will slow down again and I may cause you some problems, Lan. You're right, Mega Man. Alright, so let's go look for Zero account and find the main Zero virus. Yeah, but how do we find where Zero account is? Well, Higsby used to work for World 3, maybe he knows something. Right, okay, I'll send Higsby some email and ask him. Yeah. Okay, I sent the email. Damn, he got a response out quick. Also, I don't like how they just call it Zero account. It feels like it should be the Zero account. Mind you, this game's script's not exactly the best written. Some chips exist that have secret uses other than just attacking. For instance, the dash attack can be used to move through the air for a short distance, and chips such as Cold Punch can push cubes and break through weak walls. Chips have various other functions as well, so if you use them, you may be able to obtain mystery data in otherwise unreachable places. Higsby here, huh? I read your email, huh? Zero account, huh? I've heard rumors about it, but I don't really know any detailed info, huh? Well, I do know about a rundown old area that was abandoned by World 3, huh? It's located past the security of the global area connected to Dex's PC. The link is down, so it's a forgotten area that nobody visits, huh? Here, I've attached the security passcode to this email, huh? If you run into danger, jack out right away, huh? And we got the level 4 code. We know which security cube to use that on now, don't we? But we're gonna be mostly saving that for next time because, well, we got Thunder Beam, not Elect Beam. I always call that the wrong thing. I've been saying that like that for over a decade at this point. We still have to go get Electman's own chip. So let's head in there and fight him in the Net Battle Simulator. Electman's Navi chip is one I really like, even though I don't use it too much in this LP from memory. Essentially, he spawns in where you stand and calls down 3 of the clouds that he uses in this boss fight, and they all strike down lightning at once for a pretty good spread of damage in front of him for some okay, like, actual damage values. I don't think you can hit multiple times, but you don't need that for a lot of enemies in this game, to be honest. At least at this point. Starting maybe in the next set of stages, not so much for other reasons. But thankfully, I got Needleman here, so this fight went pretty good, and I eventually get his battle chip. I do, as usual, max out his Navi chip, and I think even his weapon chip between stages, by the way. Just because I like them both enough to have them around and maxed. And just to showcase it, there it is in the folder. Also, I'm only just realizing I actually did max out Iron Body in that stage. I guess I did kill enough Gabriel 2s after those deaths. Huh. And I might as well put that in the folder. It's doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good on having things maxed out. I do have Invis 1 in my folder for right now, and I will probably get more of those down the line because the Invis chips in this do the same thing they do in the mainline games. They protect you from damage, period, for a good period. I got that from the spooky one over in Denarii 3, I think on a trip I cut out on accident, but oh well. And here's how our library is looking. 83 out of 137. We're doing pretty good. We also have about a third of the, I guess a fifth rather, of the program advances done. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. And in part 9, I guess we're heading back into the global area to see what's over there now. See you guys then.